Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. In today's episode, we're going to be studying a piece by the multidisciplinary artist and the SurrealSerpentine, and in this episode, we're going to be looking at the symbolism of space and the desert. We're also going to explore the multimedia approach to creating this stunning scene. So let's just jump right into it. So to start off, I actually didn't find this original work. I found a smaller picture of it. I'm going to bring that in here real quick. So this is the original piece that I was working with, and so originally I wrote the study based only on this tiny little screenshot of the original piece on the right here. And so whenever I first saw this work, of course, you noticed the lone subject there, but I saw this as the dunes of a desert. Of course, the title of this work is Dune quite literally, so that certainly points to that, but I saw a very small section of what is this larger, much more original piece there. So I just want to start off and mention that. That is my first impression of this work, and that's what I was originally going off of, but we're going to get rid of that and bring in the full and original piece here. And so that's what we're going to go off today. So of course, whenever you first see this work, you're going to be flooded by this massive sight, right? The sense of scale within this work is just absolutely stunning, and it stands second to none. Of course, we see what appears to be a black hole or some type of cosmic setting within the vast realm of space here. It is no doubt bound to leave you with a sense of awe or a sense of wonder, even curiosities. We just wonder what exactly is going on here. One of the first things I notice, of course, next to this kind of monochromatic color scheme is the amount of negative space within this work, right? There is a lot going on, especially in the outer region. Of course, this sense of darkness or the emptiness defines it by its contrast. So we have that dark background, of course, and we have that orangish red, which contrasts against that to define form to most absolute ease. And so within this work, we see what we call a monochromatic color scheme. Mono, of course, being one, and chromatic being chroma or color. So within this work, you see the work consists of only one color in various tones and various different saturations. And this is pretty interesting. You don't see monochromatic color schemes too often, but within this work, it certainly emphasizes other things such as the impact of form and the impact of symbolism and even rhythm as well. On that topic, we have an immense amount of curves within this composition, right? Especially that kind of spiral, which is indicative of the cosmic realm of space. That certainly gives a sense of flow, a sense of motion to the composition, as if it's just living or alive before our eyes. I think that's just so incredibly important here. We also see a sense of texture within this scene, right? You see this quite clearly. Of course, it is kind of smooth, but also rough in some other different sections. This also goes with that sense of flow, that sense of motion within this work. I think it's just so relevant to this composition. Why don't I ask you guys, how do y'all feel when you first view this scene? To understand this work, we have to know the science fiction, but also some symbolism as well. Within this work, we see this lone subject. Of course, he stands dwarfed by the sheer sense of scale within this work, and the scale is incredibly important, right? Like I said, it dwarfs the lone subject, and it feels like this monumental moment, if you will, or this massive moment, this massive realm which he stands within. And the setting of this work, like I said, is no doubt in the vast and kind of endless, even dangerous realm of space. We see what appears to be a planetary body or a black hole of some kind or another, and within this work, of course, everything is revolving around that. There is that pull of gravity, if you will, that also gives that sense of motion and flow to this composition. But the title of this work is Dune. And so, like I said, whenever I first saw the original work, I saw it as a desert. And so the title of Dune, as well as, combining that with the symbolism of space, you can draw a few different connections here. For example, the symbolism of the desert is usually seen as a place of transition or feeling lost, right? You search from one oasis to another. You have to go back into the very dangerous, very kind of unforgiving realm or nature or even space of the desert. And of course, you're wandering. That could be a metaphor for times in your life where you're not sure exactly where you are, but you got to keep moving nonetheless, right? If you stay in the desert forever, you're always going to be lost. And just like the realm of space as well, most of it is quite empty, just like the vast dunes of a desert. So within this work, you can see this lone subject appears to be traveling or wandering through this vast and even seemingly endless space, but there certainly is is an end in sight in some way or another. This does remind me not only of a black hole, but also Saturn in a way, right? You have all these different, curves or even rings that revolve around this central planetary body. So within this work, we're given an amazing example of the symbolism of the desert, a symbolism of space itself, and also the transition or the constant exploration that we make both literally and even metaphorically or symbolically through the times of our life. So I just find that so incredibly relevant here. I want to ask you guys, are y'all in the midst of wandering or wondering yourself? We can wonder as in we can ponder or think about where we're going, but we can also wander around as well, quite literally. So, within this work, I just want to ask you guys, are y'all wandering or wondering yourself, or are y'all in the current state of being from transitioning from one to another? But regardless, it's a very stunning and very symbolic scene. I think there's truly no doubt about that. The original work, SurrealSerpentine takes these photographs and he creates these incredible results from it. So you can see the original lone subject that we talked about. He, of course, is mirrored, and you see the silhouette of him there, of course, using that kind of backlit in the photo. Very, very creative. And then he then takes that using digital editing programs such as Adobe Photoshop to create the final and stunning scene which stands before us today. It's truly amazing. I don't know how he does it, but regardless, you can see certainly the colors which are reminiscent in both these works. You have, of course, the silhouette, which is translated into the original and final work which stands before us today. Like I said, whenever I first saw this work, I only saw this in a little clip of this section over here, but I'm so thankful I found this original piece. I didn't know who the artist was. It did look like SurrealSerpentine's, but I couldn't quite hunt it down until after I had already went live with the study. But like I said, I'm really thankful I found this original piece. Of course, the multimedia expression, he's taking photography using a digital editing program to create a multimedia or multidisciplinary work before us here. It's just absolutely stunning. I think there's no doubt about that. Once again, this is highly symbolic. It mixes the science fiction with the even metaphorical, spiritual, even religious in a way as well. But regardless, really hope you'll enjoy today. Like I said, SurrealSerpentine takes these photographs to create these multimedia masterpieces, and it's just an absolute miracle. I love how he does it. But regardless, I really hope you'll enjoy today. We talked about so many different things, from this monochromatic or one color scheme of various tones and saturations. We talked about the title of this work as the Dune, the symbolism of the desert, the symbolism of space, both as spaces of transition, whether you're lost or currently looking to be found. But regardless, like I said, I really hope y'all enjoyed today. Y'all enjoyed this episode, go check out the original artist SurrealSerpentine, doing some amazing stuff in multiple mediums, from photography to the digital edit to even animation and music as well. There's a lot of different mediums which he works with. That's why I call him a multidisciplinary artist. But like I said, if y'all enjoyed, go check out the original artist SurrealSerpentine. My name's Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.